How's it going, Diablo fans? So today I finally got into testing something which I wanted to test for quite some time right now, and that is going to be the Lightning Nova build using the overflowing Cameo. So what are we doing here? So there's basically this amulet which gives you a chance to proc a Lightning Nova when you pick up Crackling Energy, and that Lightning Nova's damage is increased by 50% for every 100 intelligence you have. And I just feel like that sounds really great to begin with, but as it turns out, it's unfortunately not that great. While these Lightning Novas do quite a bit of damage, I mean they do okay, they hit for like 500k each in my current setup, and if you like kind of try to max intelligence and also try to get a little bit more out of it, maybe with like more offensive stats, you can probably have them hit for like 1,000,000 if you really max it out, but still that is like really not a lot. It sounds a lot, but there's like significant downside when you play this build. And I find that really unfortunate because I really like the concept of this build, like picking up Crackling Energy will release a Nova, then you can use this synergy with Lightning Spear Enchantment for Crackling Energy to basically have a swarm of Lightning Spears and just jump around and do Novas everywhere. And in theory it works really great, right? We are using the Flicker step here, so we have 100% uptime on Unstable Currents, and then we use the Unstable Currents to do our Lightning Spears, which then stun everything, and to generate a lot of Crackling Energy, and that generates a lot of Lightning Nova. So it like visually it works very nice. The problem here is the benefit of the Lightning Nova is just not there. Like, yes, it's there, but it's pretty much just a cosmetic. Like, it literally doesn't do the damage it would have to be the trade-off for actually choosing this amulet, because is it like the stats on the Cameo are like so freaking bad. Like it's not even funny how bad this amulet is. So I mean, just look at this, like the stats are completely wasted. There's Crackling Energy damage, this is like the most wasted stat you can get. Like Crackling Energy does no damage, no matter how hard you buff it. Then you have this Shocking Impact. Shocking Impact is probably like the most useless passive of the sorceress. It does like a little tiny bit of damage when you stun an enemy. So when you stun an enemy, it's stunned for like 2 to 3 seconds, and then after 2 to 3 seconds you can stun it again. Yeah, so you get what, like 3,000 or whatever, like a little bit of weapon damage on stun, and that every 3 seconds. Like literally it does nothing. This talent is completely useless, and I have no freaking idea why it has to be on this amulet. It doesn't even make sense. Like the Lightning Nova doesn't even have lucky hit. It cannot even proc this stun. Anyway, another significant downside of the amulet is obviously you cannot use any offensive aspect, and also the weird thing here is, right, the damage of the Lightning Nova scales with intelligence. But your best intelligence multiplier is actually on your amulet, because you can get % intelligence on it. And this amulet, you can't get it on. Like, if you made this amulet like work like kind of from an RPG kind of standpoint, then it should give, like, for example, bonus stats to static discharge, right? Because it is like forcing you to pick up Crackling Energy, so why not buff a Crackling Energy generator instead of a completely random skill which literally does nothing? Like, I don't get it. And then why not give it like something nice? So why not stick with the theme of Crackling Energy and just say something like, whenever you pick up Crackling Energy, your maximum intelligence gets increased by 1%, stacking up to 25 times or something like that. So you can actually build up the damage on this amulet, so you can actually get value out of these Lightning Novas. Or a different concept, you know, just skip the whole Crackling Energy stuff and just make the Lightning Nova lucky hit effect. That would also probably make it some kind of valuable. But in the current state, I just have to say it is not valuable at all, unfortunately. It's very unfortunate because I really like the concept of this item in general. But that has been quite some venting from me now, so let me just explain real quick like what I'm doing in this build here right now. I'm not gonna make it a full guide, I'm still gonna place you the planner in the description down below, and I'm gonna talk a little bit on everything like the Paragon and whatever I did to make this build work. Basically, I kind of overtuned a little bit on mana regeneration here. I got a lot of maximum mana from my Paragon board, and then furthermore I got the Feed the Coven Vampiric Power, because we have like, you know, like 10 to 15, sometimes even up to 20 lightning spears out at a time. And this, well, it basically gives you 10% extra damage and infinite mana regeneration. And then furthermore, we also run the Static Surge passive. Because we're running on 150% attack speed here, we really have to get on top of our mana regeneration to keep this build running for even more mana regeneration. And then on top of that, we also run 2 mana on lucky hit effects. Why am I doing all this like crazy mana regeneration stuff? It is because I cannot use Asus boots in this build, because I have to use Flicker Step, and this essentially makes me lose like 40% crit chance, and I have to get it back, and the only way to get it back is to use the Elementalist aspect. So here's the thing with the Elementalist aspect, right? It looks great on paper, but in reality, you're not above 100 mana all of the time. It is not even gonna be 50% all of the time if you are not maxing out mana and mana regeneration. There's some builds which can use it, like Chain Lightning with recharging aspect and stuff like that, but most of the time you will be lower, like you will be at like 70, 80 mana a lot of the times. So if you really want to get the value out of this Elementalist aspects, if you're not running like a really specialized build with mana regeneration, then you have to get a high mana pool and you have to get a lot of mana regeneration. And if you see me in this build, I am pretty much above 100 all the time, so I can crit, and I need crit to get my Crackling Energy, and that Crackling Energy I need to get my Lightning Novas out. But unfortunately, again, the Lightning Novas don't do any damage, so it's pretty much all for nothing. But that all leads me, like, the baseline of this build, like the whole Crackling Energy generator, the Flicker Step usage, and the Lightning Spears together with the stun effect and everything. It's actually a pretty good baseline for the build. It just gets significantly weaker because we're using the Amulet. But if we would actually use a real Amulet and put some nice aspects on, we can actually make a very nice build out of this, and I'm gonna approach this like with my next build guide, which is hopefully gonna come out in like a few days from now. I will just show you like how the baseline build works right now real quick, and I will just go over the skill tree and everything. The value of this build does come from Ball Lightning Enchant, from the Lightning Spears, and from the Chain Lightning. The Lightning Nova damage is pretty much irrelevant here. Okay, as promised, I'm still going to go over the skill tree and the skills and Paragon and everything here real quick. We put 2 points into Firebolt, we're not using it just to get access. Then we max out Chain Lightning with Destructive Chain Lightning, 1 point into the defensive, 3 in Glass Cannon, 3 into Elemental Attunement. Then we put 1 point into Align the Elements, take our Mana Shield and Protection passives here, 1 point into Ice Blades just to trigger the extra stack for the Tal Rusher Ring. 3 points into Precision Magic, it's a lucky hit build. Then we take the Lightning Spear into Stun. 3 points into Conjuration Mastery. We use a lot of Lightning Spears here, and Conjuration Mastery actually buffs our damage significantly. Just imagine, as I said, we're using this as a baseline for a build I will be putting together after this. And if we actually use +3 Conjuration Mastery on a real Amulet, and we have 20 Lightning Spears active at a time, we can actually get up to like 120% increased damage out of this, which will be very strong. In this build, without Conjuration Mastery, we would probably not do any damage at all, so this is pretty much the only thing which is like driving this build a little bit. We put 1 point into Inner Flames and 3 into Devouring Blaze. We are just using Flame Shield here to use Devouring Blaze, but for boss fights and elite packs, pretty much it is alright to just use Flame Shield. It does enough burning, and I'm pretty sure this is still worth the 3 points here, even though it's not a 100% active. Ball Lightning is maxed out with Wizard's Ball Lightning for the Crackling Energy generation. This is probably doing major parts of the damage in this build as well. Static Discharge maxed out for Crackling Energy again. Invigorating Conduit maxed out for additional mana regeneration. The 2 point into Shocking Impact come from the Amulet. Again, they are useless. We max out Unstable Currents with all the passives. Supreme Unstable Currents you probably don't even need, but I don't really need the skill points in this build anyway. Then we put 1 point into Causing Currents, 3 points into Electrocution, We don't need convulsions since we already have the stunning lightning spear, stunning everything anyway. And then our key passive, we take Ace's Ferocity. This is currently bugged and it works for lightning damage as well. So this is pretty much the only passive we can get here. Since I verified Verse Mastery damage increase doesn't seem to be working. At least it's not working on the training dummy. I haven't verified if it's really not working. But in any case, Ace's Ferocity is probably going to give us more value. We don't need overflowing energy here since we're using the Flicker Step and we also have our ultimate up all the time anyway, so there's really no need for us to get this. As for our skill build, we use Unstable Currents. This is our permanent active skill, which spawns the lightning spears. It helps us to get most crackling energy. Ice Blades, as already said, just for the Tarasha stack. Teleport, just for teleport reasons. Flame Shield, don't need to talk about this one. Chain Lightning is our main crackling energy generator and also does quite a bit of damage here. Ice Armor is just a pretty good defensive. And then we use the Lightning Spear enchantment because we generate a lot of crackling energy. It probably makes sense to use this since this gives us some extra lightning spears. And then we still use the Ball Lightning enchantment. This also generates crackling energy and it also does a very, very high amount of damage. Quick word on the Lightning Spear enchantment. You could use the Enchantment Master Legendary node to have this be 20% better. In this build I'm not using it since my goal was to actually make sense out of the Lightning Nova. Since this is not working in the upcoming build, I will probably use Enchantment Master to get more value out of this enchant here. Let's go over gear and legendary aspects real quick here. So on our helm we get lucky hit chance and we also get the fortune aspect for more lucky hit chance. We need maximum mana to get our maximum mana up and running. The other stats here are pretty much optional. I would say total armor is a mandatory stat on every defensive item in this game currently anyway. Then on our chest we get disobedience, again maximum mana, max life, a lot of damage reduction. If you want to play Raiment, go play Raiment. I wouldn't recommend doing it. On our gloves, we are getting the Elementalist aspect, as already talked about. We get the Resource Restore aspect, and we get 15% attack speed, critical strike chance, and lucky hit chance. So with the 15% attack speed here, plus 20% from the elixir, we actually get, together with the Ravenous Vampiric Power, we get to pretty much 96% bonus attack speed. And then with the accelerating aspect plus the unstable currents, we can basically max out at 150% bonus attack speed here. Our pants, again, defensive item with ever-living aspect. This gives us more damage reduction. Then we use the flicker steps. Most important stat here is probably the unique ability with the 4 seconds. The other stats are pretty much irrelevant. On our wand, we want to have all stats, intelligence and damage stats, plus the conceited aspect or the storm swell aspect, whatever you like more. On our focus, we have the accelerating aspect, again to max out attack speed. You want to have critical strike chance, mana cost reduction, resource restore on hit. The 4 stat is irrelevant here. Crowd control duration seems to be pretty handy. You don't really need something like cooldown reduction in this build. It's pretty much not so relevant. Then we get the Tarasha ring. I'm not going to talk about this one here as well. This gives us 60% extra damage because we are also using the Infection Vampiric Power. Then we get a ring with the Overwhelming Currents. This gives us 20% more casts of skills while Unstable Currents is active. This is pretty much optional. Like, you could go Storm Swell, you could go any other damage-based aspect here if you like. I just feel like the Unstable Currents fits to the theme of this build. And then again, great stats here are critical strike chance, lucky hit chance, resource generation, maximum life. Works great. And then last but not least, yeah, we have the Esadora's Overflowing Cameo. This was the target of this build. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, but still, we have it on here. For the Vampiric Powers, we use the Ravenous to max out our attack speed. We use the Sanguine Brace to fortify to give us another 8% critical strike chance and another 10% damage reduction. We use Defeat the Coven. This gives us resource generation whenever our conjuration skills hit, and also it gives us a 10% damage increase all the time. Infection, pretty much just to trigger the extra stack of the Tarasha ring here, and also it does a little bit of damage itself. And Undying, again we're running maximum attack speed, so Undying is just like the best vampiric power here to pick up. The Paragon board, I'm also going to do it real quick here. First board, we take our Elementalist for extra damage multiplicator. Second board, we pick up non-physical damage and get the Tactician Glyph. Again, more non-physical damage and 10% increased damage after casting a defensive skill. This is going to be the Enchantment Master board. Then we pick up the Keyless Conduit board, we get the Hunter Killer nodes down here, and we put in the Destruction Glyph for maximum critical strike damage increase. We move over to the Elemental Summoner board, we get the non-physical damage nodes again, and we put in the Charge Glyph for another 15% damage increase, and we pick up this maximum mana cluster here. Let's move over to the Static Search board. We get the Static Search legendary node to apply Vulnerable for us and also regenerate more mana. And then we slot in the Exploit Glyph with just 25 dexterity, so we pretty much just want it for the 10% multiplicative damage here. And also we pick up the maximum mana nodes down here. And then moving to our last board, this is the Frigid Fate board. We pick up also the Frigid Fate node as it buffs all damage by 24% in this case. We pick up the Lucky Hit nodes here, and we pick up the Conjurer Glyph here. Yes, it does 170% bonus conjuration damage. This is pretty much irrelevant. To be honest, I was just lazy to redistribute these 3 intelligence points here because I had a different glyph here before I was making this video. So these 3 points are wasted. You can put them somewhere else. Besides that, we are just using this for the 20% increased duration. And that's it for this video. I hope you still like it. I guess I pretty much stomped this Esadora's Overflowing Cameo to the ground a little bit. Because I'm really disappointed how bad it is. Anyway, the baseline of this build is real good. Maybe you can make some usage out of this. I will transition this build into a lightning spare build, and that is going to come out very soon, and I assume this build is going to be much more powerful than this one. I just wanted to upload this for completion, and maybe some of you guys are like wondering, should I actually try this Lightning Nova build or not? Now you can pretty much see my thought about it. You can see some gameplay, and maybe you still like it, maybe you still want to use it, maybe you don't. It's up to you. But yeah, that's it for me, so thank you so much for watching, and I see you guys next time.